Thank you, Bailey and Dr. Sperry and Swenson's. We appreciate you. Well, does it feel a little dystopian to anyone? Masks and shields and separation, physical distancing, different procedures. There's a lot of sensitive questions that we've been trying to answer for a long time. And I've talked to a lot of school superintendents and school heads. I meet with private school heads regularly, and one of them said that it was like trying to play a 3D chess game in a hurricane. And I thought that was a wonderful way to describe it. And it doesn't feel the same, but I think beneath the surface, you know, there are so many people in this school community who have been just so supportive, not beneath the surface supportive, outwardly supportive. I couldn't be more grateful as a school head, as a principal, for all of you and the way that you have helped us to approach all of these difficult questions. 200 new students at the school this year, and so we have many new parents. Could you just raise your hand right now if you're new to the school? And say, yeah, welcome. We are so grateful to have you. We hope that you will feel how much we love and appreciate having new members of our school family join us. Here's our agenda for this evening. A little bit of housekeeping. We'll hear from our parent organization, what they do. That will be followed by our board development committee and advancement director. And then our chairman of the board will address us on behalf of the board of trustees. And then we'll address a few other things here that you can see. You can read faster than I can talk. So we'll keep moving with just a few housekeeping items before we get to Laura Hale, our parent service organization president. First of all, this is a required meeting. There are only 2 of these required all-parent meetings all year. Please record your attendance either in person or your video viewing or online, and we will also delay broadcast this. Please record it on the Veracross Parent Portal. This is how to do that under My Household, Parent Service Training Record, and then you click on that link and click Save Policies every time you update that parent service and training record. All of these slides will be made available as well, so if you want to take notes, you can, but you don't have to. For all of you that are new families, we have handed out to you as you have entered some required foundations reading. Beginning with the Foundations Guide, which you received at Foundations Training if you came or attended. TechWise Families, which we all have read and we refer to frequently. We'll review it briefly here. And then Good Pictures, Bad Pictures, which is produced by the Protect Young Minds organization, a great friend organization of American Heritage School. This is intended to help our children understand how to protect themselves from pornography and sexualized media. These are very important topics we'll come back to a little bit later in this meeting. Anything that you need as a parent, I shouldn't say anything, it would be nice if it was anything that you needed. Most information that you need as parents at the school can be found behind this parent resource link on the Veracross Parent Portal. There's health and safety information there. If you were wondering what do we do when there is air quality problems in Utah County, it's there. If you're wondering where's the parent handbook, it's there. When you click on that parent resource link, you're just going to get all kinds of stuff. School maps, summary of updated policies. Anything that we hand out at these meetings will be posted on these links. So if you're home right now and you're wondering what are they handing out at this meeting, it's already posted on this page. You can see it right there. The all-parent letter, the parent handbook, summary of updated policies. That's what people are holding in their hands here, and you can click on those links at home. All right, let's introduce Laura Hale, our Parent Service Organization President. I think I saw her come in, Laura. There she is. Let's give Laura a big round of applause. It is not an easy thing to be responsible for so much of the service lifting of the school. Her board, she'll introduce them. Thank you, Laura.
All right, hello again. I thought thought maybe I'd be talking to an empty room tonight, so it's actually nice to see faces. So I think it was maybe a year and a half ago, I talked about my secret desire to live on a desert island. And so if you want to blame COVID on someone, it's probably me, because I think we've all been on a desert island for a while. And, but it's nice to be back. I was able to come the first day of school, and I walked around. And as usual, anytime I see all these children gathered in places, I start to lose it a little bit as my emotions get the better of me, as I'm so overwhelmed with gratitude. So this year, this slide up here, you'll see our parent service organization board. Service is an important component because that's really all we do. We're here to help facilitate the service hours that are required. 30 hours for every family. That's for full-time student families, and then part-time, that is 20 hours. So to start off, I wanted to talk to you about a few comments I've overheard from my children the past few days. We've now had 7 days of school, so here's some things I've overheard from my children. I love my teacher. She is so nice. And I thought this was kind of funny because I had to calm this child down because an older brother was teasing him that he had had this teacher and she was really old and she was prone to fainting, but it only happened a couple times a year. She didn't have very good teeth. She did have a gold tooth, which was pretty cool. So when he actually met her in person, he realized his brother really was teasing him, but he loves his teacher. Another one is I had a daughter tell me how much she is loving choir. This is her first experience in high school choir. And she came to me after her first day so excited and said, "Mom, do you know the music we're singing? And are you familiar with the song?" And so she pulled up on YouTube some other choirs singing her songs, and we just sat there and listened to the beautiful music. And I agreed with her that her teacher picks really good music. I had another child come and tell me, well, ask me if I'd read an article called The Magnificence of Man. And I said no. So I looked it up, I read it the next day, and we talked about it the next night, and indeed it was an amazing article. If you haven't read it, I recommend it. It's actually by Elder Nelson back in January of 1988, and this was something I learned that he had been reading in his science class, and so we talked about our amazing bodies and all that they do. I had another child tell me that I asked them what their favorite thing about school was, and they quickly replied, "My teacher." And I was worried about this child because they loved their teacher so much last year that, you know, how do you compete with that the next year? And each year, sure enough, they like their teacher just as much. I had another child tell me, "Mom, I think the Holy Ghost is one of my best friends." And I was working on the computer at the time, and I kind of paused. Because anytime a child recognizes the Spirit, you want to capitalize on that moment. I said, "Well, where did this come from?" And he let me know they've had a devotional at school that day talking about that. I'm hearing chanting rhymes such as, "Hi, my name is Joe, and I work in a button factory." So they're picking up all sorts of fun rhymes. My oldest children are doing cross country, and they've mentioned several times how much they love their coaches, how much they enjoy visiting with them, and the funny stories they tell, and how inspiring they are to them and how motivating they are to them to be better. So why do I share some of this? I'm just hoping to give you a little taste and idea for what an American Heritage education is like here. It's different, and it's a good different. And I was a student here for just 2.5 years. My children have now been here, they're going into their 7th year, some of them. But even if you're here just for a year or more, your education and your experience here will bless their lives, and it continues to impact me today. This is a special place, and the principles of faith and learning and self-government and charity and divine identity all contribute to that. And I lead out with that just because I feel like for me, that has been a really important motivator to make me want to do service hours. And while service hours are required, I'm hoping that you'll feel that excitement and desire to serve and be involved in this wonderful community and school. So I want to jump to a little bit of business. Are you clicking for me? I think we skipped one. Where's the web page? I think this might be backwards. Skip forward a little bit. One more. Okay, so a quick reminder, there are lots of opportunities this year. Some of them are a little bit different. We have some new ones, so make sure that you look through this. I'm not going to go through everything. I just wanted to go through how you get there. On this slide, it's showing you the PSO links. You click on that. We now have a web page. You can go to the next one. That top little banner is where you're going to spend most of your time. That first little button says register first. You'll want to click on that. Go back to the next slide. Here we go. And it will take you to a page. We've had about a third of you register so far. The purpose of this was to make it a little bit easier, where your information is a little bit more private. When you sign up for something, all you have to do is give your name, at least on the event side. Still with room parent things and emails you're getting on that side will be a little different. So you'll want to register first, and then go back to the right here. And then this is where all the signups are, and there's a couple options. So just click around and you'll find things, and this is where all the signups. We do not have paper signups. There are still some signups for room parent positions if you want to walk around and if you forgot to check your child's classroom. A lot of them are filled, but there are still some openings. Lunchroom. This is new this year. Usually only needed about 2 a day. That jumped to about 27 people a day. And I think we're actually going to make some additional modifications, so it might go down to more like 20 a day. But that document has been circulated in Mr. Beckwith's weekly emails. We're still making changes, so be patient as teachers and faculty and us as parents figure out how to best help. We've learned that some teachers don't need it as much, and others are just so grateful for a little break. Some of our teachers have an intense teaching schedule where they don't have a break, and so when a parent can come and they can step away for a few minutes, that's really, really wonderful for them. I've gotten some questions about my child's class is not on there. Not every child's class will be, but you're welcome to sign up for a class that's not your child's class and get to know other students and other grades. One thing for the lunchroom that I really wanted to emphasize that we're learning is that one of your main responsibilities with lunchroom is to enforce the social distancing. So if they're outside, you want them 6 feet apart. If they're in their classroom, you really have to kind of be mean and force them to sit in their desks. But I think if we all do that on the teachers, it shouldn't be too difficult. They'll get used. So that will be really helpful to the teachers there if you can enforce that. So now, as I mentioned, there are many reasons that American Heritage requires these 30 hours of service and 20 hours for the essential part-time classes. But today I want to focus a little bit on the American Heritage culture of sacrifice. What we all experience and see here today has been 50 years in the making. I think we forget how long it takes to build something like this in terms of facilities, in terms of people, in terms of curriculum. And what we experience today is possible because of sacrifice. I am grateful for sacrifice because I have found that sacrifice changes you. It makes me more compassionate, and it also makes me more passionate. Serving in this capacity, I really care about things. So it makes me, I care more, and I definitely feel more invested. It makes me more patient and understanding as you realize that things aren't as easy as they seem. It's not always as black as white as it looks. It also is an opportunity for me to express gratitude and pay tribute to the past. It makes me more humble because I realize I am lacking in certain skills, and it makes me more sympathetic and empathetic. And it also makes me feel more loved and feel more united with all of you and administrators and teachers. Sacrifice has the power to make all of us better, and in turn, this school better, and in turn, after that, our families. We all know that families are our greatest priority. AHS knows this, and it's why the mission statement says that American Heritage exists to assist us as parents. We get to partner together as a community to bless all of our families. I wish all of you a wonderful school year. Please feel free to talk to me and some of the other wonderful parent service organization board members. We'll kind of just stand on the south side after, and we'd love to meet you and answer any questions that you might have. And if you don't have anything today or have something in the future, feel free to call or email. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Laura, for that. We will now hear from our advancement director, Barbara Tanner. This is Barb's first year with us. She joined us halfway through last year, so she's finishing her first full year. I'm so grateful to have her here. She helps us with all things related to taking the school to the next level. She came to us from the church in a capacity there that did a lot of things the way we are striving to do some things here with fundraising and networking and institutional advancement. And so without further ado, Barb Tanner, and then we'll hear from Shannon Brown, who is a member of our board of trustees and the chairman of our development committee. Barb.
Hi, Shannon didn't want to come up because she just doesn't want to see how short she is by comparison. I'm just kidding. I love short jokes, so there's nothing funnier than a short joke.
I have heels on, so
She's wearing 12-inch heels. That's what she doesn't want you to know. No, I'm just going to take a few minutes and then I'm going to introduce Shannon, who has extraordinary talent, and you'll discover that for yourselves as you get to know her. But my name is Barb Tanner. I'm the advancement director. I'm so happy to be here. This is my first year, like many of you, and it's so exciting to start at the beginning of a year. So I've just had a great time. Really, three things that I want to say. First of all, welcome to those of you that are brand new. You're going to love it here. Welcome back to those of you who are returning. We're so happy to see you. So grateful for your loyalty and commitment to this school, and we hope that you'll have a wonderful year too. And lastly, and especially because of my capacity in advancement and development for the school, I want to thank those who helped us raise more than $200,000 at the end of the year last year under really challenging circumstances. That was a great way for me to be introduced to many of you. I visited you in your homes. I left my lawn chair somewhere. Shannon bought it for me.
lost it.
Did I say out loud that it's lost?
It was like $15.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. But so if you have my lawn chair at your home, I'd be really grateful. Shannon and I showed up and just did little lawn parties with quite a few of you as we were talking about some of the needs the school had at the end of the year. Ultimately, because of your support, we were able to raise more than $900,000 for the annual fund last year, which leads me to the second thing that I want to mention to you. Yeah, it's amazing. And honestly, I played a very small part in that because I came into the year, as Grant said, mid-year. So much of the heavy lifting for that goal had already been met by the time I arrived. The annual fund pays for scholarships and student financial aid. And that part of the annual fund allows us to recruit mission fit families to the school who might not otherwise be able to afford American Heritage. We want them to be here. And clearly you want them to be here, or you wouldn't be supporting them through the annual fund. The other part of the annual fund is teacher tuition benefits and merit pay benefits. And that piece allows us to recruit and retain the kind of talent in our teaching staff that we want to have in American Heritage School. So the annual fund is really a critical fund, and we appreciate your support. And my third message is that that campaign for this year has just started, and over the next 8 weeks, I'm going to be reaching out to many of you who have already spoken with me. I hope you'll take my calls. I hope you'll answer my emails. I hope we'll have a very comfortable relationship so that you feel comfortable having me talk to you about the needs of the school, and I will be receptive to whatever your circumstances are. If it's not a good time for you to be involved in supporting the annual fund, I hope you'll feel comfortable telling me that. But in any event, my relationship with you matters very much to me. And my capacity here in advancement is something that I really enjoy. So over the next 8 weeks, we're going to talk to people about the annual fund. The goal this year is $650,000. It's substantially less than $900,000, which was last year's goal. But that's still a big chunk of change. And we plan to have all the money committed for the annual fund by October 23rd, so over the next 8 weeks. That's so that we have a very small season of please when you make the ask, and a much longer season of thank you, which is a really good way to do fundraising. We don't expect to collect the pledges, of course, by October 23rd, but just to have those pledges in so that we know that we're going to get the support we need for the annual fund. Call me, please. My office is up by the boardroom on the 2nd floor. I'd love to get acquainted with you. I'll be reaching out and making appointments with those of you who are first-year families, just so we can get acquainted. But I'm at your disposal to answer any questions, and you'll be hearing from me anyway. So let me introduce Shannon really quick. Shannon Brown is on the board of directors. She is the chair of the development committee on the board. She also chairs the major events committee that's a subset of the development committee. We usually call it Shannon's posse. So Jody, that posse you belong to, that's actually called the major events committee, but it's more fun to call that posse. Anyway, let me have Shannon talk to you about the 2 big community-wide events that are going to be coming up, and one is coming very soon, actually just in a few weeks. This is Shannon Brown.
Okay, so, okay. Okay, first, I think you can see this slide, it's kind of small, but I just wanted to introduce you to the fact that we're gonna have 2 major community building events. Pausing for grant, okay, so you can see the video, I guess, right? So this one's not until February 5th of 2021, but I want you to see it now, so you'll put it on your calendar, so when you see this little guy on his hobby horse after Christmas break, it'll already be on your calendar, and you'll know that this arena is where we have massive family dance. And last year we had David Osmond here, and that was the second in our, yeah, it was awesome, wasn't it? Thank you, Vicki, she's our little cheerleader. We had an awesome 50th anniversary party. That was the second in a series, and this will be similar to that, but it'll be a country western themed dance. So we're gonna have Nathan Osmond, David's brother. I have a thing for the Osmonds apparently. But anyway, you bring your family, we have refreshments, and we're gonna have a line dance instructor, so we can all just socially distance if we still have to in a line dance. But we're gonna hope that you all will put this on your calendar right now. So next slide. I think my guy would, okay, good, okay. So this is coming up in about 3 weeks. So hopefully you've seen this in some form or fashion, either on the website or there's a poster in the front hall. But this is September 17th, it's a Thursday night. And this will be the 3rd and final 50th anniversary event. So we're gonna make this really special with fireworks, and it's gonna be an awesome event. So if you've been here before, you kind of know how Constitution Day used to work. During the school day, the children do rotations. We have, in this grassy field out here, we have a lady who puts out like 100 flags, okay? So it's this big star, and the kids rotate to each point, and at each point there's somebody dressed up as maybe George Washington or Betsy Ross, right? So as they go to each station, they learn something about American history. And so that's during the day, and that will go on as usual. And then we have a shortened day, so you'll have time to get home, get your homework done, you know, get your practicing done, whatever, and then come back at 5 p.m. We're gonna start with activities, and dinner is included in the ticket price. So the tickets are $8, and that's per person. But if you have a large family, it's $50 for the entire family. So if you have more than 6 people, it's a better value to do that way. And kids in 3 and under are free. So we have a ham and au gratin potatoes, watermelon, and if you're gluten-free, we'll do a gluten-free cornbread. And so we'll have a meal, and then we have food trucks that are coming in, so we'll have options for that. So if you just also make sure you have some extra cash or your card ready to swipe, because the kids are gonna want the scones and the corn dogs. We have Zapples coming, which is caramel apples. And then my sort of coup d'etat is I got Brooker's ice cream to come. If you've been to Brooker's lately, they dress up like colonial Williamsburg people, and they even have a Nathan Hale flavor. So that was super exciting for me, which is pistachio, okay? But you're gonna wanna taste some of that. So they gave us our rock bottom price for that. So I want you to come. This is going to look like Colonial Williamsburg. We're going to have people dressed up in costume, mingling through the crowd. You can talk to them. They're in character. And then there's arts and crafts that you can take advantage of, like candle dipping, printing, doll making, you know, all the kind of things you would see as if you were in a colonial Americana setting. So what I've done is I've taken the Constitution Day and overlapped it with the old Fall Festival. And so if you remember the Fall Festival, we did it 2017 was the last time. So I'm hoping that your kids are going to get excited. I'm going to start marketing to them hardcore. So you're going to want to get your tickets now so you can tell them that you are ready. Because when I looked today on the website, I've only sold 6 tickets and 3 of them to me. It was like P.T. Barnum, I think he said, right? He sold 3 tickets and they were all just okay, so I'm expecting 1,300 people.
Tell them how many people came to the family ball.
Yeah, okay, we had the family ball in here and we had just under 1,000 people. It was awesome. So I know you will come. And I also know there's this little thing about Labor Day. After Labor Day, you guys like really get serious about school. So I'm not freaking out yet, but if you'll go to the American Heritage website, you'll see an events tab at the top and you can click on that and it'll pop you right to this page where you can buy tickets. Now, this is part of a COVID safety plan. Part of what I need you to do is buy your tickets in advance. And I've written all these things down and I'm hoping we can have a big event in a safe way. So that I'm hoping that you'll wear your masks. The only place we'd ask that you can take them off is if you're seated on the grass field. So the plan is when you come in, you're going to park, there's going to be a ticket booth, and you'll have already bought your tickets online. If you happen to just come with cash, we'll accommodate that. The activities that we have. Now, one of them is face painting, and I know that's a concern because you're touching a kid. So I talked to the owner of that company, and she said they had recently been invited to an open house for a pediatric doctor, like his new office. So what they did was they called them glitter markings, I guess you want to say, because we don't use the word tattoo. But, you know, like whatever you want to call it, pixie dust, sparkly something, I don't know. So they take the brush and they wipe your kid's arm with a wipe, an alcohol wipe. Then they dip the brush in the alcohol, then they apply the glue, and then they put the glitter on. So you can do that on the forearm if you're comfortable with that. There's also an option above the mask, so it would be not around the eyes, but if you're okay with them do it, they would do a little face paint on the forehead only, but that's just to your comfort level. So we'll have a couple of options so nobody feels left out. We just don't want crying children saying, why did those kids get face paint and I didn't, right? So we want to do this in all a safe way. We'll do social distancing in the lines for the dinner and the other activities, if you could just, you know, be considerate of others. And then if you'd like to take your food from where we serve it behind the building, back to the grassy field, I would encourage you to put your picnic blankets out and your chairs because the fireworks are going to be shot off from the baseball field. So you need to be facing the baseball field, and that will be just after we unveil our new mascot statue. So we have a 1.5-life size Nathan Hale Patriot statue, which I really love when people are tearing statues down and we're putting one up. So there you go. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to have a nice unveiling ceremony. Barb's in charge of that. So we want it to be very meaningful and, you know, not skip over the significance of the statue to our school. So make sure you get your tickets. And if you have other questions or concerns, I'll stand over here by the PSO ladies as well. This isn't my first pandemic. This is actually my second rodeo. So I know it's a big concern and I hope that we can do it safely and still have some fun together. Thank you.
After the festival, the student government is sponsoring a movie night too. Did you mention that?
Sorry.
Yeah, so the high schoolers will stay for a movie too. So the whole day will be fun at school and the festival in the evening as well. It'll be fantastic. Thank you, Grant.
Thank you, Barb and Shannon. Appreciate that. Let's make sure. All right, just another couple announcements. After school Spanish class, you're welcome to join that. After school junior ballroom program, you've seen some of this information in the school-wide bulletin. That's available now. Let's now hear from our chairman of the Board of Trustees, Dan Burton. Dan and his wife Sarah have been longtime supporters and advocates of the school. They've had 3 children graduate. They have a son who's currently a junior, We wish that they had children in elementary school still. He's been on the board for over 7 years now. This is his second term as chairman. And he has the full faith and support of each member of our board of trustees and our school community. Let's give a round of applause for Dan Burton.
Thank you. It's great to be here together this evening. I just wanted to share two messages. One in a role with so many of you as a fellow parent, and then one in representing the board of trustees. So first, as a parent, especially by way of reinforcement, I guess to all parents, but in particular to those parents who have decided to bring your children here for the first year, and you're just about a week in to this experience. We doing okay? I just wanted to share a story or two about our family's experience. As Grant mentioned, this is our 10th year now, our 10th school year at the school. And when we came to the school for our first year, our first experience, our oldest was a 9th grader. We had a 7th grader, a 4th grader, and a 2nd grader. And we were coming mid-year actually. And you can imagine how excited our 9th grade daughter was to move mid-year from out of state. She was not real happy with me. I had a job change and that brought us here to the state. And our 7th grade son was equally as excited about the prospect of leaving his friends in another state coming here. But I will share with you our experience as we walked through the doors for the first time. We sat in on the classroom discussions. We met with the teachers, the faculty members that our kids would be taught by. We met with the administration, and we saw our children embraced by many individuals here in this room today who loved our kids, and they were embraced by their fellow students, and many of the parents of those students are here tonight. And I would just share with you, you are joining a wonderful community, a community that every school year as it comes for our family, I feel just very similar to what Laura expressed, this overwhelming gratitude for the positive impact that the school has had and the community has had on our family. So that 9th grader did forgive me, and she had a wonderful experience. And that experience included incredible academic and extracurricular experiences. Now, 10 years ago, this was dirt, and we would have been up a ways. We didn't have this beautiful arena, and our kids have all been involved in athletics here. We had to play in the middle school gym. And I can share with you some of the benefits of growth, the benefits of the generosity of the donors and supporters of the school, like Barb and Shannon were describing, that the logistics of trying to run high school athletics on top of middle school athletics, on top of theater and music performances, was an absolute nightmare. And I remember as this concept became a reality of this expansion, this arena, and then we got to participate together in an incredible dedicatory experience with a spirit-filled dedicatory prayer right in this room. And then experience for the last few seasons, over 100 games, sort of sitting up in those bleachers and cheering on our Patriots in various sports experiences, all with the temple in view. And as an incredible reminder of why this school exists and the mission of the school. So I would just share with you, as our family has experienced the choice to be here, it is one of the greatest blessings that our family has ever felt and experienced. And you've made a good choice by being here. So my second message would be, as a member of the Board of Trustees, I love our Board of Trustees. They are comprised of incredible people like Shannon, who you just heard from. And in fact, could all the folks who are current or former trustees just stand up for a moment? Katie, that includes you. Let's give a round of applause. These are wonderful people. Their experience. They're most frequently parents that have a great deal of experience with the school directly, with their own children. And I would just express to you as a member of that Board of Trustees the united support that we feel for the administration. I feel so grateful for the way in which the administration approaches all of the decisions that they make. They follow principles that are timeless, that are eternal. They follow a mission that we all believe in. And that leads to very wise decisions. And that has included, over the last 5 months, as we faced an unprecedented pandemic. I just want all of our parents to know that the administration has involved the board at every step along the way as we've considered together what would be the most appropriate steps, including what are the right steps as we needed to step away from an on-campus experience. And then what have been the right steps and precautions and extra measures to take to ensure that we can come back to campus. That included a wonderful graduation experience where we were really leading out. Yes, thank you, Vicki. Isn't Vicki great? I love that she claps for just right. And the Gerlachs, one of those families with just amazing, amazing impact and influence at the school for so many years. So the administration has followed timeless principles. They've followed wise practices, and they have involved us as board members in the process of considering exactly what we can do to enable an on-campus experience. And I would just close by sharing that we know as a board that we can't predict the future. We can't see the end from the beginning. In our most recent board meeting, I shared a few words by way of reference of a wonderful talk by Elder Uchtdorf entitled Seeing the End from the Beginning. And he shares an experience from his own life when he had to ride a very heavy bike as the laundry delivery boy for his family as they were trying to build a new life in West Germany. It was really hard, and he'd often feel out of breath and cough, and his lungs would burn, and he didn't quite understand why it was so hard. Until later, he didn't know the end from the beginning. But later, when he was in flight school and wanted to become a pilot, he went through a medical exam that uncovered that he had had a significant issue with his lungs earlier in life. There was scar tissue that the physician could readily see. But the physician shared with Elder Uchtdorf that somehow he had gotten the right kind of physical therapy, the right kind of exercise as a child that had cured him of that issue. He couldn't have otherwise been a pilot had he not had that job as the laundry delivery boy in that difficult circumstance with that heavy bicycle. And I bring that up for two reasons. First of all, to remember that challenges are not always a bad thing. In fact, they're often exactly what we need. It's okay that we're facing challenges. That often helps us to grow. And second, for us to all remember, we don't know the end from the beginning, and that's okay also. And that's true of the board, that's true of the administration, and yet we can still move forward. We can move forward and take action, and we can apply timeless principles in making decisions. And I want you to know that our administration here has done that, and that we as a board fully support their approach and their decisions, and that we're in good hands under the leadership of this administration. So thank you again for choosing to be here, and I would just reinforce you've made a good choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. We love you. We appreciate all of your vision and leadership, each of our board members. All right, let me just make sure this is. All right, we're going to try and move through the remainder of this meeting as quickly as we can, but cover some really important things together. You should have received when you walked in a cover letter entitled Priorities, Policy Updates, and Reminders. You should have also receive the Foundation's Guide, a summary of updated policies, a medical authorization form if you plan to administer any medications to your children over the counter or otherwise. Foundation's reading, as we mentioned, for new families, and the updated parent handbook is online. We're not going to cover all of that in this meeting. We've given it to you in writing for a reason. Please read it. Please take the time to read that. It will help all of us to be safer, smarter, and to have a smoother experience together. Well, late in 2019, we were working on our heat map, which we do with our Health and Safety Committee, and then March of 2020 hit, and COVID isn't even on there. And it kind of sucked all the air out of the room. It doesn't mean that all these things don't still exist and don't still have important demands upon us, but really, this has been our focus. It has presented the most danger for most families. And so if there's one thing that we want you to remember, if nothing else, from these safety materials, if you turn to page 5 in that green packet that you have, this cover letter on priorities, policies, updates, and if there's one thing that you can do to help us be safe, it's this. Please keep everyone in your household home, whether you have a potential or a confirmed case of COVID-19 in your household. Or even if you believe that one of your family members has potentially had close contact, meaning 6 feet or closer for 15 minutes or more, with a confirmed positive case. If you'll just do that. And I'm so grateful for the very few families who have had a situation that could have turned into a larger problem for the school, but they handled it by the book, just like this. They just kept their children home. Thank you. Yes. We have had 0 cases that have been transmitted on campus. There's been some stuff that's happened at homes, only 5 of those since March. So our risk has been managed. We know we can't eliminate it. We know face coverings don't eliminate risk. We know social distancing doesn't eliminate risk, but it reduces it, and that increases our chances to stay together. So in any of those scenarios, just please keep them home, okay? All right. And when you do keep them home, we want to help you to stay connected. So we've experienced our first week of trying to help about 25 students stay connected. Most of those are middle and high school students. Most of them are, about half of those are international students. We have 2 in elementary school right now. Now, we knew coming into this that remote access and remote broadcast from elementary school classrooms was a lot more complicated. But we're learning some things now, and what we need you to know is we're going to make a change. Whatever our plan was yesterday, it's going to be different tomorrow, so just get ready for that, okay? What we would like to do is ask you for at least a 2-day notice request for remote access, especially for elementary school children, okay? We're asking that if you need to keep a child home for 2 days or less, please don't expect that the teacher will provide Zoom access to the classroom within that 2-day period, within 2 days of notice, okay? So if you anticipate an absence of 3 days or more, and we know it's hard to know, you won't know for sure sometimes, right? Maybe you're testing someone. Maybe it's just a common cold and you don't know how long they'll be home, right? We get it. But if you anticipate an absence of 3 days or more, notify the school and give the teacher at least 2 days to prepare for that Zoom simulcast, especially if this will be the first remote student in that classroom, because it does change some things about how the teacher delivers the content and how she structures her classroom. Okay, it's very doable. We've already done it a lot. We can do this, but it does take some time. So for short absences, 2 days or less, just simply continue to approach the absence as you did in previous years. Just notify the front office, check Veracross for assignments. We're going to make sure Veracross is updated regularly, more regularly than in previous years. And if the teacher is prepared to offer remote access, and many of them are, especially in middle and high school. We had a student today who needed to go home. Student left English period from on campus, went home, jumped on Zoom, and off they continued the English class at home. Awesome. That is the ideal. And that's happening in most of the classrooms, okay? But just do it the way you did it before for 2 days, if the teacher doesn't have a Zoom set up yet in their classroom, okay? And if you have a remote student attending an in-person class, please do not expect the teacher to troubleshoot remote video or sound issues while teaching. Okay, in cases requiring technical support, we're asking the teacher to continue focusing on the majority of the class that's in person. And then those IT issues can be managed by our IT team after class is over. And we have a great IT team here. What they did in this providing laptops to everyone that needed one and networking the school. But this is a new world entirely now, where we are Zoom broadcasting from all of our classrooms, giving you that flexibility, not forcing you to lock into a whole semester of online or a whole semester of on campus when we don't know whether we'll be here, from 1 week to the next. And so we do still have some hardware things to upgrade. We've learned that on the fly here. We need more Wi-Fi access points, which we're installing. And we're going to have student remote engagement coordinators who will help more of those students if that number climbs. We're going to hire those this week, 2 of them. So if you're one of those families, you're going to have more help from people, not the teacher while she's teaching. Okay? And we recommend that you consider, if it works for your family and your students, your children, and your family approach to technology, we recommend you consider getting a laptop that you're comfortable with, because we will issue laptops again if we get into the flu season and for any reason we as a school need to quarantine or the whole state needs to quarantine. We will issue laptops again, but it will be very helpful if you have one already that you're comfortable with. It'll just make things go smoother for you and for us. We've begun issuing laptops to our teachers now, all of them, as well as tablet computers, okay? So you can expect from us connection and communication and organization and motivation and mentoring and teamwork and all of this stuff. We can't promise you a perfect Hollywood experience on these, Zoom swivel classroom broadcasts. And you have options. If something's not working for you, this is part of our strategic plan. Give you a choice. There's always another right answer if something's not working. Don't suffer in silence. Swivel is hardware. The software we use is Zoom. That's the connection tool. We received 20 of the swivel cameras before school started. 30 were held up in the supply chain, part of these COVID-19 disruptions. So teachers have learning curves just like we do. We were able to train as much as we could with the 20 that we had. 30 are here now. We're continuing to climb this learning curve with you. Please be patient with us. We promise we'll smooth out the wrinkles and give you options if you don't like what you're getting, okay? All right. We are stronger than our circumstances. We can do this. We just keep leaning into it. COVID-19 could be with us for a long time. We're not going to wait for it to be over before we start living again and teaching and learning, okay? And it really is producing some extraordinary learning opportunities as we lean into it. For our students as well. But there are other needs, physical and emotional, mental and spiritual needs. We are going to be emphasizing responsible use of technology and safe use of technology. This study is being updated this year by The Atlantic and by many college professors who were participating in it. This was 2017 when this came out. It was a bit of a watershed report and journalistic study on the impact of cell phones on this generation. And so we want you to keep thinking about some dangers that may be even more risky than COVID-19. And technology may have something to do with that, especially at a time when so many people are isolated. These commitments we make in our homes, if we choose, we want you to think about making some of these commitments. At least read the book, see how it lands in your family plan. We make many of these commitments as a school. We're a tech-wise school. We do a lot of training and learning on this topic. It's baked into our training for new families, for returning families. Please watch these Foundations training videos on some of these topics, including technology. And we emphasize, of course, the revealed teachings for the strength of youth as they relate to media, as it relates to entertainment, and so many other things. Okay, some physical safety. If you're new or if you're not, let's just remind each other, please drive slowly and please don't stop or park next to red curbs, especially adjacent to crosswalks. Okay, we have not had any injuries yet in our school history related to carpool. Well, that's not true. We did have one child whose foot was rolled over by a wheel one time, but it was no broken bones. We really need you to observe these red curb, yellow curb, crosswalk protocols. Please don't load and unload in the middle of a carpool traffic. Okay? If you're looking for some places that don't have a lot of traffic, here you go. The north, the northeast, the southeast overflow parking areas, use those. Have your children walk out there. Not a lot of traffic there. And circulation goes clockwise around the building. So looking down from the bird's eye view, clockwise around the building, the main building. And you'll get used to that if you're new, okay? Especially during carpool times of 8 to 8:45. Don't try and go counterclockwise. You will get stuck and we will get stuck, okay? There's always more traffic, carpool traffic the first few weeks of school because people haven't set up their carpools yet. They haven't figured out how they're gonna ride share. So everyone's coming. It gets better in time. All right. Performance report from last year. We'll go quickly here. Great outcomes. We continue to improve in so many important academic areas. Let's give our teachers a big, huge round of applause. They are working so hard on so many levels. Add all of this safety stuff on top of it. It's a lot. They're amazing. Here's some AP highlights. Probably saw these in the school-wide bulletin. 117 exams, that's our most ever, and a pass rate of 74%. Okay, what's new this year? Well, I think the most significant thing that's new, that's important, that's sort of fulfilling a measure of our creation is our on-campus and our worldwide programs are merging. And yes, this trial that we're facing has really motivated that in a way. We were motivated before, it really motivated it. And there's just some brilliant innovation that has happened as a result of the trial. Major financial aid and participation fee support has come, thanks to so many of you. Phase 2 campus expansion, lots of investments in our legacy building. It's another name for our main building over there. And these remote student engagement coordinators I just told you about. Look at the enrollment. Look at the enrollment trend from the time that the soft closure was announced by the governor in March. 860 students in K-12 in March of 2020. By the seating fee non-refundable deadline date, when we say, look, we just need your deposits or we need to assume you're not coming back, we had lost 8% of our enrollment, compared to many private schools who had lost up to 50% of their enrollment, of people who said, we just can't afford it anymore. Our whole world has been, rocked by this recession. It really took its toll on a lot of industries. 8% was great. We were counting our blessings. And now today, we've actually surpassed the high water mark that we had last year, thanks to so much good work by our administration, our board, our teachers in coming up with options for people, including less expensive options. Now at 900 students K-12, and look at this, 150 of them are part-time students. If that's the only thing that came out of this, that we made American Heritage available on a part-time, reduced pay basis to families, that would have been worth the whole thing. We've been talking about that forever, and we finally cracked that nut. We just had to, right? 214 new students this year, underscoring the importance of training, culture, and mission training. But look what happened in the American Heritage Worldwide Department. This is amazing. Yes, there's Peter right there in our American Heritage Worldwide Department. Oh man, if we think we've been busy on campus, this online team has just been slammed and they have risen to the task. Thank you, Peter, Pablo, American Heritage Worldwide, AHS Online. Including 75 full-time AHS Online students. When we say AHS Online, we're talking about the middle and high school online program. And 150 AHS Essentials, which is part-time students that are blended on campus and online. Those classes are completely full. And maybe the most exciting thing, I shouldn't say the most, one really exciting is that we are now, with the donor funding that we received, which was about $1.5 million, we're now developing our own math and language arts programs. Those were the 2 courses that we did not offer in our online programs. Now we will be offering those starting fall of 2021. That will be wonderful. That'll help all of us, including on campus, okay? All right, yes, thank you for those support. Okay, campus expansion. I don't think I'll spend a lot of time on this. I think most of you are aware that we're going to be adding just this way. This is all part of the campus master plan, as well as a new classroom building off to the north here that will also have room for STEM facilities, lunchroom facilities. The construction has started. You can see it'll be done this spring. You can look at this later on the online. Here's the artist rendering of the statue that you can see on September 17th when it's unveiled. I'll just close with some of this. Those of you who were at Foundations training, we'll just finish with this. Most of you were not at Foundations training. There's a lot of things that are facing families, schools, private and public schools. This was in 2019, these were the things that were facing all of us. These haven't gone away. We only have the added complexity of now the pandemic. And these are some of the added complexities that the pandemic has brought. Return of latchkey kids. This is a real problem. There's a lot of children out there, millions of children out there who are now unsupervised for much of the day. Most of the largest public school districts in the country are online completely, and their parents still have to go to work. Zootering and pandemic pods. Private schools are not immune, as I told you. Half of the private schools in the country right now are facing existential enrollment decline. We're very grateful for the position in which we're in right now. And so as our board talked about what our priorities should be, these were our priorities last year, our strategic priorities. These have been our priorities for 2 years. It takes time to execute mission and strategy. we felt in this year, this second priority probably should become the first one. And so our strategic priorities for this year are the same, but the order is a little bit different. Physical and emotional wellness. Add the spiritual component to it. As we listen to these students, we listen to our children, they're feeling like there's a need, there's a well that needs to be filled here, and it has something to do with a spiritual emptiness. I'm not talking about just our students, I'm talking about young men and young women worldwide. And we need to make time for that. The assemblies that we hold for students, as soon as they come to school, include a deep drink from For the Strength of Youth and from the Living Prophet, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We know we have some wonderful families who are not members of the Church of Jesus Christ, and you are welcome. Some of you are here. In fact, let's give a big round of applause to those members of our school community here who feel like this is their school and this is their culture, even though they're not Latter-day Saints. But they are faithful, outstanding, God-fearing families. This is stuff that applies to all of us. For the Strength of Youth is for the strength of all youth. And we're talking about avoiding drugs and alcohol, chastity, kindness and respect, and careful use of media. And we're helping these young men and young women, these children, our teachers, our whole school community to understand that out of the sore trials that our Father in heaven gives us come this great strength. And so, Washington and Valley Forge, and these pictures that hang on the wall, this is Drusilla Hendricks, who lost her husband to a bullet shot through the neck when mobs were persecuting the early saints. And here she is praying in a field for her children, who now have a paralyzed husband, who was miraculously healed after he came. These are the moments, these are the seasons in which a loving Father in heaven teaches us in the crucible of our affliction some of the most beautiful and precious lessons of life. These are the prison temples of Liberty Jail. Or even as a youth in the Sacred Grove, as he described Joseph, prophet Joseph, as a boy describing that it was the darkness there that was so overpowering, he felt like he was doomed to destruction. Those were his words. And that is the moment at which the epiphany happened of the restoration of the gospel. When through deep waters I call thee to go, the rivers of sorrow shall not thee o'erflow, for I will be with thee, thy trouble to bless, and sanctify to thee, and sanctify to thee, and sanctify to thee thy deepest distress. If we allow him to sanctify him, yet to us that trouble. So our focus as we've trained teachers, and our focus for you as we have lots of these sensitive questions, is grace. Teaching diligently, and his grace will attend us. Learning diligently, his grace. Listening diligently, and his grace will attend us. If there's anything we need from each other right now, it's a graceful response. There's lots of teeth gnashing going on out there about the right and the wrong answers, about COVID, or face coverings, or physical distancing. Does it work? Doesn't it? Look, we're going to find out the answers to all the questions in time, and we need
Macy, have you done?
And we need to. We love our children too. We'll mute all. We've got a couple co-hosts. Maybe one of the co-hosts can just mute all. Thank you. That we may be prepared in all things. In my office, this is what I look at every day. It's straight across from my desk. And I think that this is the picture of what it means to treat each other with grace. God does care if we find the right answer about COVID. He does care about the right approach to risk reduction. He does care about our family's health and safety. There is a right answer about all that. We should seek it. But he gives us these kinds of trials in our life, more than anything, I believe, to see how we'll treat each other. Will we treat each other with grace while we're on the road to finding the right answer and through that struggle? And the fruits of that are beautiful. This is a picture of one of our students who painted this for a teacher, who brought it into my office and said, look at this. A teacher who exemplifies grace. And we have so many of those here. All right. We love you all. Thank you for spending the time with us tonight. Thank you for your patience, for your grace. We're going to be doing this together. And we couldn't be more excited to be on this boat together with you. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.